Hi everyone, my name is Penny. Today I'm here to tell you about how each of the 12 signs of the Zodiac fight people. And the reason why I'm an authority on this topic is because obviously I'm an astrologer and I have this YouTube channel where I've talked about a lot of in-depth astrological things, but also I am a martial artist and I fight people. I put my hands up, we punch each other, kick each other, wrestle on the ground, whatever it is that we're doing in that day of my training. And a lot of people seem to be like, oh, you don't look like someone who would do that, or you seem so nice, I don't think you would do that. But I have to ask, what would I look like if I did do that? I'm just curious to have that thought through all the way. And I do think you can be a nice person and then still know how to defend yourself and know how to be mean when it's the proper time as well. So that's something that I value personally. Anyway, I'm making this video based on experience and observations. It's not like the universal truth though. I mean, there's still a lot to discover about this, and usually when we look at fighting, we look at the Mars sign, not the Sun sign, but I'm kind of making this on the Sun sign just to add a fun twist to it, and perhaps some people who don't know what their Mars sign is yet and haven't really had a very thorough introduction to astrology, you can watch this video just for fun, and then maybe you can decide to check out one of my videos on Mars because it's probably going to be more accurate. That's just the truth. That's just the way it is. So you can go ahead and talk about this in the comments and let me know what you think and how this relates to your own personal life. But this isn't supposed to be what people are always like. If it sounds like I'm saying something negative about your sign right now, you can pretty much take this as your worst when you have been pushed too far and you're at a point where you actually want to fight, whether it's fighting psychologically or actually putting fists up. Okay, so starting with Aries, the first sign of the Zodiac, ruled by Mars. Aries is the god of war, but Aries people actually don't like fighting that much. They get kind of a bad rep, and I see all these people, posting about how aggressive Aries are. But it makes sense that the god of war would know the cost of war and know that it's important to avoid fighting when possible. Granted, Aries have a lot of confidence in their own personal power and their ability to conquer enemies. So really, they're going to want to try to work on fixing the relationship or fixing the problem if they've decided that you're just an awful person that they don't want to deal with and you are worth hurting in some way. They're probably going to try to do something that they can get away with so that they won't be hurt in the process as well. But really, if they've established you as their enemy and someone that they just need to obliterate, they're going to do whatever they can. They're going to get as nasty or as sneaky as they need to, and they are capable of being very strategic. A lot of people seem to think Aries are stupid, but it's important to remember that Aries rules the head. And a lot of times, yes, Aries will use their heads to be stubborn and to bash it into things, and Aries make a lot of impulsive decisions that make them look stupid, but in my experience, most Aries are actually very smart people. Moving on to Taurus, the bull, ruled by Venus. Now, bulls charge at people. Bulls do seem very aggressive, but Venus is not an aggressive planet. So Tauruses, they don't really like fighting so much either. But if they are going to fight, they're going to do it their way. They've basically already decided what the outcome is going to be, and they're not going to change their stance on it. I mean, they can't really control what other people do, but they're not the type to want to meet anyone halfway and compromise or anything like that. If they decided that, you two are in a relationship and you're going to stay in a relationship, then they don't have any intention of leaving. They're going to stay right where they are, and if you leave, they're probably not really going to chase after you, which is horribly unromantic and it just sucks. But they've decided how they want things to work out. If they have decided that you both are going to stand up and have a good old-fashioned fist fight, then gosh darn it, that is what they are going to do. But basically, whatever idea they already have in their head is how they're insisting the fight's going to play out. And at times, this can cause them to win if they're aware of their own strengths and they're able to get their opponent to comply with what they are doing. But at other times, this can also cause them to lose. Because if they're having like a street fight or something and someone's being sneaky and like super dirty, but this Taurus has the idea that they should follow the rules of boxing where you're only allowed to punch and you're not allowed to like pull out a weapon or anything like that, then that Taurus is probably going to lose in that moment. So if you want to strategize against the Taurus, you kind of need to like do some research, and they'll probably be at least kind of predictable. I think it takes a little bit more effort on a Taurus's part to like pull something extra out from their sleeve or their pocket. So next we have Gemini. Now Geminis can just talk in a circle. Like even if they're not talking out loud and they're staying in their own head, they can have a fight all on their own, and they can come to a conclusion for the fight without ever like talking to anyone else about it, or they might just like talk about it in front of you and like go through the whole thing all on their own, and you don't even have to say anything about it, which is pretty weird, pretty awkward, right? So basically Geminis are more stubborn than most people realize as well. They're the twins and they're indecisive, but this means that they have two heads. And it's kind of hard to get through to them because of this, because they already have like so much going on internally within themselves. And they, like Taurus, have already they haven't already decided the outcome for something, but they're going to find the outcome on it on their own. Like there really isn't that much compromising with a Gemini. They're just going to end up doing what they want to do anyway, but probably they don't know what they want to do yet. So they can be persuasive, but they are persuasive. They can be persuaded, but they are persuasive. So it's more likely that they're going to end up persuading someone else. And when it comes to physical fighting, Gemini can really surprise people because they tend to be good at making you think that one thing is the threat and there's one specific thing that you need to be worried about, and then whatever you're worried about, they'll end up doing something else and kind of catching you off guard. So next we have Cancer. Cancer's the crab, so they tend to like walk sideways around things and not go directly in. I've actually done martial arts with a lot of Cancers. I meet a lot of Cancers in the martial arts community, so I'm just kind of trying to reflect back on all of them and the specific things that they would all do. When it's in your personal life, a lot of times a Cancer will like try to give you the silent treatment or just not talk to you or be kind of passive aggressive about it. When it comes to a physical fight, I will say I don't know. I don't feel like I've ever had any of the Cancers I've fought be all that mean. They're good fighters, but they know when to be aggressive and when not to be. There's actually a lot of like really well accomplished boxers who have their sun sign in Cancer. It seems to be like a good sport for them. So I think they like the community of martial arts, and they like training, and a lot of times they're more like protective and defensive than outwardly aggressive. So they do get good training in because of that, and that's why I think Cancers, when they have something that they need to protect and they actually decide to fight, they can be very dangerous. So you need to watch out. And Cancers become dangerous to the point where they stop. Hold on, Jade. Jade, hold on, please. I didn't even brush her hair yet. Sorry. You want to play on my phone for a little bit? Uh-huh. Okay. Okay, so Cancers, what was I saying? Yeah, they can fight to the point where they stop worrying about their own well-being as well. So think like suicide bombers, but not like really suicide bombers, but someone who's like willing to kill and hurt themselves and bring themselves down as well in order to like fight for what they care about. Next we have Leo, which is the lion. And Leos are very dramatic about things, and we always have like a little bit of aggression there because, I mean, we're lions, we're dangerous. And even when we're just playing, we can still be kind of dangerous. So a lot of times it's hard to tell if a Leo is actually angry and being serious or if they're just like joking around. And really, if you can't tell and you feel like it's kind of in between, like, oh, I can't tell if they're joking or they're serious, then they're probably really just joking. I mean, Leos aren't the type to say things that they don't really mean, but they might mean it in like a light or friendly way. So you still need to kind of take them seriously. But if they're like really mad and they're really yelling for real, I mean, think lion, think like roar. Leos can get very loud, and it'll probably be obvious that they're legitimately mad. Like, you won't really have much margin for gray area and be like, are they mad? Are they not? I don't really know. So yeah, if a Leo's mad, you're probably not even going to be asking whether or not they're mad. Like, Leos can have a pretty ferocious temper. When it comes to physically fighting, Leo is one of the more stubborn signs, so kind of like the same way Taurus is. They might be stuck in some bad habits when it comes to fighting, and are likely to make the same mistake more than once. But Leos are also very agile, not afraid to move in during a fight. You know, a lot of Leos will be big on going in for takedowns or like more pressure fighting types of stuff. And really Leos perform better in all areas of life, including fighting and like applying for jobs and being charismatic, when they're on their own turf and they have like their friends and people who support them with them. Now, if you fight a Leo on the street, their friends aren't necessarily going to join in. Because for me personally, if someone were to get into a fight with me, I would consider that my own business. And I don't expect any of my friends to put themselves at risk because of it. But Leos have like more confidence when they have people backing them up who want to see them do well. So that's kind of something to keep in mind. But yes, also Leos are good at taking hits, and it's gonna be difficult to get a Leo down on the floor. Good movement, good defense. So if you're planning to just like get rid of a Leo problem, really probably the best way to do it is either remove yourself from the problem or not even try to fight with a Leo, because imagine trying to remove a lion from a room. Like, if a lion wants to be in the room, then the lion's probably going to be able to stay in the room unless you like hit it with the tranquilizer or something. And I'm not going to encourage you to like drug people or whatever. That's awful, that's mean, and the Leo would be very upset when they woke up. So anyway, next we have Virgo. Virgo is kind of catty. Virgos can say some like things that seem really rude even when they have good intentions and are trying to be nice and friendly, and it'll probably take the Virgo a while to even realize that they were being rude. So they might not be trying to fight, but if they decide that someone isn't worth talking to and needs to be dealt with physically, then they are very good about using their surroundings and whatever is around them. Like, they might pick up a chair and hit you with the chair or something of that nature, maybe like bash your face into a mirror. Yeah, they use their surroundings, and they're very precise. So their ability to be precise and, you know, hit something right in the exact spot, and yeah, that makes them more dangerous. So if they have an intent to do something, they'll probably manage to do it right. But usually, thankfully, Virgos are kind and willing to talk, even if they seem like a complete bitch or a jerk or whatever they're acting like. Usually Virgos can be talked to, and they don't actually want to fight anyone. Now Libra. Libra is like the sign of peace and balance and sharing and being kind. you know, it's the balance scales. So how's like an inanimate object that's meant to like balance things and tell you how much your bananas weigh, how is that really going to hurt you, right? Libras don't seem like they would be that dangerous. But the thing is, kind of for the same reason why we consider them to be so nice. I mean, there's this one side of them that can be really nice, but then another side of them, if they're at a point where they don't feel like they should be nice, and it's just not even right for them to be nice anymore at this point because someone else was a bad person and they have this person in the bad person category, like the person I'm supposed to hurt category, then Libras can be really mean. But if they have you in this other category, like, oh, this person's nice, this person's a perfect angel, you know, they're going to be like equally sweet to you. So it depends on like what category the Libra has you in. And they can be very vindictive and all of that stuff as well. They will, you know, try to get back at people and try to do just whatever they think is fair. Like, if you did that to me, then I'm going to do that to you too. If you come up to a Libra or you try to get in some like ridiculous like bar fight to prove your masculinity with them or something, then they'll think, hey, if you want to fight me, that's fair. That was your decision. So we're going to fight. We're going to do this. And Libras can be very dangerous. They're the type of people that you shouldn't take their niceness for granted. You shouldn't assume that just because they're nice by default means that they're going to be nice when other people are mean to them, because Libras know how to be mean. So that's about all I have to say for Libra. Moving on to Scorpio. Scorpios are very emotional. And I don't think they actually want to fight physically. They're going to be reluctant to do that, but they will seem like very intense with their yelling, with their language. And if they're mad at someone, a lot of times they'll end up saying something they don't mean. But if they care enough to fight you, that probably means that they just flat out care. So a lot of what they do is more for like intimidation factor. Well, if you're going to hurt me, then I'm going to hurt you too. And yeah, they don't really want to actually physically fight. They're more likely to act like they're going to fight someone to try and scare them off than to actually go through with it. So if they do decide that they're really going to fight, then they want to kind of like lure you in. They want to egg you on and get you to throw the first strike. And they do better when they're more like defensive type fighters with counter striking and going on based on what you're going to do. And hopefully, in their ideal situation, they have managed to manipulate you beforehand and they can get you to do what they want you to do so that they can do what they wanted to do. They're good at planning that type of thing out. So next we have Sagittarius. And unfortunately, I don't know of any Sagittarian who I've actually fought before. So I'm sorry if you're someone that I've trained with in martial arts and you happen to be watching this video and you're like, oh, I'm a Sagittarius, how did she forget about me? You know what? I don't think I forgot about you. I think you probably didn't tell me your birthday. So if any Sagittarians want to come and like sign a waiver and show me what they got, go ahead and do that, but make sure you keep your hands up. So I guess what I see from Sagittarians is they are more avoidant when it comes to fighting, and they don't actually want to like confront people face to face most of the time. Yeah, they'd rather do it from a distance and, you know, find the proper way to deal with it legally. I guess they're smart about things like that rather than, you know, being all up in your face and putting themselves at risk, which I guess might be part of the reason why I don't see a lot of them training in martial arts, because they probably don't plan to get into the physical altercations and, you know, they have the mindset of, oh, well, I should just avoid that kind of thing anyway, you know, I just shouldn't. And it's not that it never happens to them, it's just that they don't want to get involved in it, so their idea is probably just like, oh, well, I'm just going to run away if that ever happens. I haven't really seen a Sagittarius get super mad at someone or try to be mean to them. So come on, Sagittarians, you gotta represent yourselves a little bit. Let me see what you got here. Anyway, Capricorn. Now, Capricorns I have seen a lot of in the martial arts community, and what's interesting about them is they're usually really good at putting their emotions aside and making rational decisions, and deciding not to be as easily swayed by the things that are going on with us internally as other people are. They're good at making like business decisions, and even in relationships, they act like a businessman in their like romantic relationships and with their friendships and their social life and all this stuff. But when it comes to actually physically fighting, I think that they recognize that there's so much like emotional fuel going on there, and a lot of Capricorns feel such a strong need to prove themselves, and they feel so much pressure that they actually do get emotional when it comes to fighting. Like, they're probably more at risk of letting their emotions interfere with their fighting style than any other sign. But I think once they realize that this is a bad habit and it's something they're doing, and they become aware of it, they're able to fix it, and they will work towards like being able to be calm like they do in every other area of their life. But Capricorns, really, they're not going to take the easy route. They're not going to just try to apologize in order to fix the situation. Yeah, and they want to maintain their reputation at any cost. So if they're trying to look like a big tough guy, then they're not going to say sorry to you. They're not going to tell you that they don't want to fight. They're not going to do anything to try to make the situation more mild. So a lot of times things will escalate with a Capricorn. Whenever there's an altercation, physical or otherwise, with a Capricorn, it's going to escalate. So get ready. But yeah, because of this, they are kind of more likely to end up in a bar fight and things like that than a lot of the other signs are. And basically, I feel like when it comes to fighting them physically, how well they're going to do kind of just depends on what point they're at in their life. Like, if they're really insecure, then probably they're going to get emotional about it, and they're not going to be able to perform that well, and they're probably going to get their butt kicked. And then after they get their butt kicked a few times and they become more secure, they're probably going to become a better fighter as well. But at the same time, if they're more mature, then they're probably not going to be picking fights either. They're probably going to, I wouldn't say they'd avoid the fights, but they'd at least not start them when they're more mature. So if a Capricorn doesn't really want to fight, but they have this attitude, well, I don't care whether we fight or not, it's up to you, then that's probably a more dangerous Capricorn than the one who's acting all pugnacious and ferocious and trying to pick a fight. So be aware of that. And Capricorns will work very hard. As I said, I see a lot of them in the martial arts community, and they train and they progress. So there are some very skilled ones out there. Muhammad Ali was a Capricorn as well. So he's a good example of that. And you can kind of look into his life a little bit and see, what his perspective was on fighting and everything. Next, we have Aquarius, the water bearer. Now, Aquarius is a sign that's really good at confusing people because they're ruled by the planet Uranus, which is like explosions, unpredictable, random things happening, changing the lives of everyone around me. And Aquarians a lot of times are unclear about whether they want to fight or not. They're the water bearers, so they're usually trying to do nice things for the community and to help people. But if they get to a point where they're just bitter and they're upset, it tends to be that they just become upset at everyone. They're just mad at everyone collectively for no specific reason, and they're just gonna do little things here and there to try and hurt people and mess up their lives. Basically, they're gonna poison the water and hand it out just the same as they normally do, act like everything's normal, nothing's changed, but this time they're handing out poisoned water instead of nice, refreshing, and healing water. So you kind of have to know what's been going on in this person's life in order to know like whether or not they're dangerous and whether or not they're kind of like at that fighting point where they're trying to do something to hurt people. And it's probably not as likely that they're going to have a problem with one person specifically. It's more likely that they're kind of going to have a problem with everyone. When it does become more concentrated on one person, they are probably going to tell everyone else about it as well. And so in that type of situation, you at least will know there's a problem because you've probably heard through word of mouth, hopefully. But they kind of have the idea also that, you know, if they're right about this person and this person's as bad as they say they are, then everyone else is going to see it too, and then everyone else is going to help them gain up on this person so they don't feel like they actually need to handle their own fights personally. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. I don't see them getting involved in a lot of like random unnecessary fighting, but they are really good at kind of messing with people's heads and stuff, and as I said before, not being predictable. So you might not take them that seriously, or you might not think they're actually that dangerous, and then you'll kind of like end up getting sucker punched or something like that. Like, they're the kind that I feel like if they were actually going to fight someone, like maybe they were a kid at school trying to stand up to the bully, and maybe the bully, he wasn't even bullying them. The bully was just bullying all these random people, and the Aquarius is like, I'm going to stand up for everyone. They would probably dress up as like an anime character, come to school in like a headband and like full cosplay outfit, and come up looking ridiculous, like taking like some kind of like kung fu stance or something, and no one would take them seriously. Like, the bully would probably laugh and be like, oh, I'm just going to kick this kid's ass. But then I think the Aquarius would still be able to whoop on them. So don't underestimate an Aquarius. Ronda Rousey is an Aquarius. Also, what's his name? Gosh. Oh, I can't remember. I made a video about him, though. So, yeah, there are some good Aquarius fighters out there, and I have trained with a handful of them. So the last sign of the zodiac, we have Pisces. Now, Pisces is the fish, so you don't really think fish would be good at fighting. I mean, all they do is swim, and sometimes they get eaten. They're the prey, not the predator. But Pisces are better at fighting emotionally and intuitively. And now, intuition can be really good for fighting physically as well. Like, I actually think, based on my studies of the charts of successful fighters, intuition might be the single most important thing when it comes to being successful in competitive fighting. And it's a little bit counterintuitive because they were like, oh, if someone's intuitive, then they're probably going to work as like a psychic or something. They're probably going to be someone like me. But a lot of times, that's not the case. Like, if these intuitive people actually decide to train in martial arts, a lot of them become very successful. So yeah, Pisces are kind of, let me look at my notes here. I wrote something interesting about them. Yeah, they're big on like guilt tripping people and stuff like that. And they'll use your own emotions against you. Basically, they'll find a way to attack you with your own emotions. Be like, oh, well, you were feeling this, didn't you? Don't you think that means you did something wrong? They really don't like it when someone tries to do the same thing to them, though. And basically, when it comes to verbal fighting, emotional fighting, or physical fighting, they use other people's strategies against them, and they even they'll turn it completely around on you and steal it and be like, no, I'm just going to use your strategy. They're like a mirror, but they're a mirror that can change and can adapt and can get you with what you thought you were about to get them with. So that's kind of something interesting about the sign Pisces, and something that allows them to become successful. So, yeah, I think Pisces' ability to tap into emotions so much, it can be problematic and it can make their life chaotic, but a lot of times it can also make them very successful if they find the right outlet for it as artists or martial artists or whatever they may decide to become, even like psychics and astrologers and things like that. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video and there was some useful information in this. I know it's not like super specific because it's just the sun signs and everything, but feel free to check out the rest of my videos, especially the ones on Mars signs, which will tell you more about how you fight. And if you want to check out my website as well and see what kinds of things I offer there, you might be surprised about what astrology can do for you. Because basically anything that is brought into the planet on a specific day will have an astrological chart, and we can use astrology to tell us about many things, not just about our romantic lives. Yes, it is very good for telling us about our romantic lives, but it can also tell us about our business lives as well, and our locations and our surroundings and our friendships, and it's basically endless how useful it can be. So I hope you will enjoy it as much as I have, and have a fantastic week, ladies and gentlemen. I'll talk to you later. Bye.